In the fall of 1991, the Lafayette High School Marching Band had another successful season. Coming off the dream year of 1990, the band had set high expectations for themselves. When the year was over, they could look back and realize they not only had reached their lofty goals, but had exceeded them in many ways. They would win 5 of the 6 contests they entered, including a second straight state championship. They would lead the state in all-state band members for the second straight year, receive the Sudler Shield, a prestigious international marching band award that was only presented to 3 bands in the entire world, and of course the distinct honor of escorting Santa Claus through the streets of New York City in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The following program is a unique behind-the-scenes look at their season, a season that would take them from the bluegrass to the Big Apple. Season began, as it always does, with band camp, held once again at Morehead State University. The band that attended this year was the largest in Lafayette history, with 195 students turning out for the week-long camp. Of that, 90 were freshmen and less than 30 were seniors, making it also one of the youngest bands ever. The goals of band camp are always the same: to come together as a group, to learn the music for the year's show, and to learn as much marching drill for the fall program. Seeing a great deal of talent at his disposal, band director Steve Moore pushed the band harder than in most years, attempting to learn more drill during the week than ever before. The show contained 56 pages of drill, and the band's goal was to learn over half of that by the time they returned to Lexington. It was during band camp when the band would lay the groundwork for the entire marching season. Band director Moore would later say most of the goals were attained, and that all in all, Band Camp 1991 was a success. Upon returning from band camp, the band began working to get ready for the upcoming season. One of their goals was to have the entire show ready for the first football game on September 7th. A major endeavor, but one they accomplished. 1 week later, they would compete in their first contest, the North Hardin Invitational. They came out of the contest with a narrow win. But the victory, their 7th in a row over a 2-year period, was not a joyous one. There was an uneasy feeling amongst many band members that the band as a whole was not putting forth their best effort, and that a sense of complacency and overconfidence was settling in. On September 21st, at the Madison Central Invitational, the band would get their wake-up call.
Well, I think we had it in our minds that, you know, we don't have to do so much because, well, we're Lafayette and we'll win anyway. So I don't know if it was just that they really didn't know how much we have to put into it to keep going, and just because you won one contest, then that doesn't mean that if you stay that way, you're going to win all the rest of them.
I think lots of the people that, most of the sophomores and freshmen and some of the juniors had never lost a contest because last year they were undefeated. And I think a lot of people had the attitude that, well, we don't have to work because we're Lafayette and we're going to win no matter what.
That contest, I didn't get that feeling that we had the desire to win. Maybe if we were more dedicated in practices and, you know, just gave it all we could have won, but everybody just wasn't focused.
The troubling signs that many in the band were noticing reared its ugly head for everyone to see with the walk-on for that evening's finals performance.
And all I remember is walking along, and I was counting along, and all of a sudden, I guess just one person started counting wrong. And when you're sitting there and you can hear them, and somebody's counting the wrong number next to you, you'll start to count what they're counting. So I got like probably about 8 people, and then those 8 people kept spreading it over, and so half of side 2 were counting wrong, and we went like 8 steps too far, And the guy giving taps was on our side in our area too, so we had gotten him on the wrong count. And so we got ready to do the dress center, and you know, we hit, and we were like dressing a line that wasn't there. So we didn't know what to do, and finally somebody just screamed back up, and so we realized what we had done, and we like backed up. And it was awful just because you just had this terrible feeling that there was nothing you could do. They count out loud, and I was up in front, and I heard people counting, and some people were counting different than other people. And it was weird because they were standing right next to each other, but I don't think they just noticed it. I don't know. But they were had different counts. And then when we stopped, or we were supposed to stop, I stopped, and I see the band. I mean, I see people coming up next to me, and I'm like, wait, no, get back. That's not right.
The band regrouped remarkably well after that and put on a very good show. But the walk-on had made an indelible impression on the judges' minds, and the band finished runner-up. Runner-up to the George Rogers Clark High School Marching Band, who put on a dazzling show. Afterwards, Lafayette sat in the stands and watched the Winchester Band go through its show again. It was hoped they would learn some valuable lessons by watching.
I think it helped a lot because we saw how happy that GRC was, and I don't know, I think everybody then thought, well, you know, what could I have done? You know, why did I let, you know, was it my fault? Why did I, you know, just slack off? Could I have done more?
Well, that night I thought they were more intense than us, and their sound quality was great. They really put the air through the horns. And I think if we would have done that, we could have won. I just think a lot of people weren't performing. They were just out there, and it just didn't come together. And GRC showed us what we could have done.
On the Monday after the contest, the band met to discuss the lessons learned in Richmond.
Marching. I hope you watched what they did, because they marched in time. Their heels hit the ground at the right time. And what do they have that's twice as good as ours? What is it? Okay. So, as I've been saying since July, I guess we'll have to wait till a band comes along and teaches us how to do it. Why do we need that? You want to see toe lift? I can show you toe lift right here in the Lafayette Band. We have several members who are doing it. Chris Tackett's one of them. Chris Watts is one of them on a bass drum. And there are others who have got the toe lift. Why don't we all have it? You're in serious danger of never being able to do it because you've waited too long to form the habit. Many of you already have a habit that's too low. Now perhaps this will wake you. You'll come out of your coma and you'll get your toes up. I'm not sure. We'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, we might not be accurate, but we have always been intense. Emotion. Performance let down. Let down. You're up against George Rogers Clark and you let down? Well, here's why. Because you can't do it in a performance if you haven't done it in a rehearsal. No matter how hard you try, you're not prepared. You can try as hard as you want to that night, and I was over there wishing for you as hard as I could, bobbing my head up and down, but it was too late. You know, I hadn't done something in a rehearsal to make it happen. It's too late. All right, and I'll take the blame and you take the blame. We all share this. You see, we're one now. We're one.
I was hurt. I really wanted to win, but I thought that maybe this would give us a better chance of winning the more harder and difficult contests like Murray and Murfreesboro and State. And it was something the band needed in order to show some of the upperclassmen, even myself, that we weren't working hard enough and we needed to really try a lot harder and get more intense.
I think it's going to send a good message because a lot of eyes are opening now. A lot of people are understanding what's going on. We're all going to open up and learn and listen. Maybe the attention span is going to grow. And I think eventually we'll get to where we want, but it's going to be a while.
We were scared that everybody's getting cocky because we haven't lost a contest, like 7 out of 7 or 8 contests. And maybe that this loss, it'll give us a boost. You know, we know now that we still have to work, and our name isn't going to carry us through the year, that we have to put something into it.
That indeed would be the case, as the runner-up finish at the Madison Central Invitational would be the turning point of the marching band season. From that point on, the band's attitude and work ethic began to change, thus preparing them for greater successes the rest of the year.
The band actually became closer as a family after that contest, because we realized that it's going to take the effort of everybody of doing their best and working their hardest to put it all together. And that's what everyone did.
Lots of people started working a lot harder at practices. Things got a lot more intense, and you just wanted it a lot more. I mean, Mr. Moore always says that you have to want it to be able to win. And after we had lost, sitting there watching GRC perform after they had announced that they had won, it felt really bad, and we wanted to be out there. And it just made us want to work a lot harder, and it worked. It worked, really. It did.
All eyes, right here. Let's make music. Work hard to keep that pitch up on the mini windows. Ready? When you hit the field to go out there to competition. And back in the old days, it was almost like we were going into battle. You know, it's like we were ready to just do battle, go to fight. But we're not fighting with other bands. We're not competing with other bands. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not a war, but it's that same alertness. You know, where everything is totally aware, you're completely alert. And you want that desire comes out of you, and you can sense that in a group of people. I felt a little of that last night. It could triple at a contest. It could be a whole lot more than that. And it happens when you get ready to do that walk-on. When I look across the band today, when I look out in that field, I want every chin up. Breathing through the nose and out of the mouth, and I want to feel like you're ready to do battle with yourself. But you're going to remember every single thing we practice in the music. All of that is going to come out the instrument. And you're going to remember every marching thing we worked on. You're going to be totally alert to intervals and forms and being in them and making the show come alive. And that we will improve, even on this performance, is an improvement over our last run today. It gets better. attitude, I'm ready to see Alice Band, and I think you're ready to do it because you gave me that kind of effort Thursday. So now you're ready to do it in a contest. The competition is not with the other bands. It's inside you. That's what we're beginning to win. We're beginning to get there. Let's see what happens today. Let's feel it. Fall in, guard.
The band felt it good enough that day to take home grand champion honors in the first annual Bryan Station Invitational.
Lafayette High School Band may take the field for competition.
Champions Band Contest in Murray, Kentucky has been very good to the Lafayette Band the past 2 years. In both 1989 and 1990, the band took home the Grand Champion Trophy. This year, Mr. Moore decided to use the contest weekend as an opportunity to immerse the band in a return to the basics. On the Friday before and the morning of the contest, the band went through its longest and most grueling rehearsals since band camp. The work paid off as the band won the contest for the third year in a row. But more importantly, the band improved greatly and grew as a unit even more.
The Murray weekend was pretty much almost like a mini camp. I mean, we rehearsed a lot and worked very hard all day Friday, went down to the bus Friday night, practiced, got up Saturday morning, practiced, went to the contest, came back from the contest, lined up in the uniforms, worked on one more spot, went back to the contest. It was a mini camp weekend. Foreign language sometimes does that. It just takes a whole day and they just speak the language all day long. And that's what we did. We spoke the language of band all day Friday and all day Saturday and just totally immersed ourselves in Lafayette Band for 2 days. The growth was tremendous.
And the way I thought of it, going out there, is this is a weekend band camp. And I don't think he cared as much about the competition. I think the whole weekend was just to get us ready for Murfreesboro. I don't think he cared anything about the competition. And so I was just ready for anything he was going to do. I was ready to be very tired and worn out, and I knew I was going to have to give just as much as I always do, maybe even more.
I think it brought up our discipline level, that we couldn't go anywhere else. We had nothing else to do, and so we had to do this. And so it brought up the discipline a lot. And it's sort of like a last-minute cramming session for a test, you know. We all thought that the hardest contest of the year was already gone, you know, so far, and that was GRC Madison Central. And Mr. Moore and the upperclassmen, we knew that Murray was going to be a lot harder than GRC, and if we lost Madison Central, you know, what's going to happen at Murray? And so this was, I think, like a last-minute cramming session before Murray.
It helped a lot because we worked, I think, 5 hours on Friday and 5 hours on Saturday, but it really got us confident. We cleaned a lot in those 10 hours that we practiced. It looked so much better, and it made us feel a lot more confident going into it, knowing that we had worked really hard for the past 2 days, and that we had, Mr. Moore told us that we had accomplished something, and normally when he tells us that, you know, we believe it, and you could just feel it, that it was a lot better because just of practicing that. And even though we were really tired, we just kept going because we really wanted to win.
In preparing for the band's biggest contest of the year, the Contest of Champions in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, the band is allotted 1 hour of rehearsal time at Vanderbilt University's football stadium in Nashville. Even though it was only an hour, it turned out to be one of the best rehearsals of the year.
It was definitely one of the best. It was probably the best, and, you know, just my own opinion. Like you said, with McGavick going on before, it gives you that incentive to do a lot better, or, you know, to work even harder. And I think a lot of us thought that some of the McGavick members were up in the stands, but I didn't see any personally. But you know, somebody up there watching that matters. And it was great. A lot of things just clicked together at the last moment, and that was one of the times that it did. You get out there and you do your best, and when everybody does it, you know, everybody gives that, you know, 120%. It makes it all. It's just so much better.
Doing fundamentals that day, they were so fast and so quick, and everybody was doing them. They were just falling into place left and right, and everything was coming together. I just had a good feeling. I felt that we were going to do it that weekend, and that rehearsal just kind of proved it all, because there wasn't a lot of talking. There was still some, and people were paying attention. They were listening, and they were following instructions, and it all just fell into place even for the rehearsal, and the rehearsal went really well.
I think that was a very strong rehearsal because, once again, it seemed each weekend after Murray, the band just grew more and more until state. And this was another growing experience when we all felt the same way. And we just put all our energy together and came out with a great rehearsal. We all wanted to win, and I think before, maybe a lot of people didn't think that we could win Murfreesboro again. And seeing McGavick then, I think, brought up our hopes so that we thought that we did have a chance, and so we wanted to give it our best.
The rehearsal was so good that many in the band thought they had the next day's contest already won. It was Mr. Moore who set them straight just before the band's Holodome rehearsal.
Have you ever seen those football bloopers, you know, where the guy is like, he's running 90 yards, he's cruising down the field, and he starts celebrating before he gets to the end zone and drops the ball. You know, I mean, he doesn't get the touchdown because he celebrated too soon. Well, we sure want to have focus tonight. You know, I went to that rehearsal day that y'all went to as well, and I feel good. And I know that we march better, don't we? Yeah. We do, don't we? Yes, sir. No, we do. But there are other bands. One of them goes on 2 bands before us. We march about the same as they do. And that band played real well today. And a little bit louder than we do. So I'm not ready to celebrate yet. I'm in no way ready to, and it would be a major mistake. Because today, the only people judging were us. And we don't get to judge tomorrow. So the contest wasn't today. It's tomorrow.
The Holodome rehearsal, held in the Holodome of the Holiday Inn, where the band stays while in Murfreesboro, has traditionally been a favorite for both the band and their fans. This year was no exception.